Hi, everybody. Hey, Nancy, sorry about that. We're trying to get connected. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started this morning. It's October 4th, 2022, and this is a regular meeting of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners. Let's see here. All right. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so if you will all please turn your phones off and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. Okay. Thank you. All right. So today we need to remove a couple things off of our agenda. We're going to I would request that we remove items 6 and 7 off of our agenda today and then bump the remaining numbers up. Commissioner Fiedler or Mudge, do either of you have any other adjustments or changes to the agenda?
Depending on participation in public works staff, we might not go into our landfill update as quite. Oh, great. Yeah. Okay. All right. Then no, I don't have any other comments. Okay. I'll move to approve the agenda with the removal of items 6 and 7.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? No, thanks. Okay. Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we'll just get right into it. Community informational items, Commissioner Mudge.
I learned yesterday that XL is out continuing County Road 4 mitigation work under their power lines. So that I was not aware of that, but if anybody has questions and wondering who is out there doing what, XL Energy is out there and has hired Asplund to cut down trees and clear material under their power lines. I don't know, I need to connect with them and figure out if they're planning on doing that along County Road 17 or any other roads. So I will follow up and try to get an idea of what their scope is for the rest of the season.
Okay, cool, thank you. Commissioner Fiedler?
None for me.
Okay, I think for me, just wanted to give an update. My commissioner colleagues were generous enough to approve some ARPA funding for Bright Start, and so I just wanted to give an update. We've been open for a year. We're serving 26 families and continuing to grow our capacity. We have some great full-time staff, a bilingual director and sub-director, and so we're continuing working, and that ARPA funding really gave us the leg up that we needed to secure a location, secure some staffing, be able to pay competitive wages for childcare, which is very important, and underpaid profession. So we're able to meet our licensing requirements, and we're just very grateful for that. So I appreciate it. And Commissioner Fiedler and I will be at City Council this evening to talk about transportation planning and grant awards. So that's it for me. Any commissioner clarifications? No?
None for me.
No?
Can we talk about something?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, no, not that I can think of right now.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna move into public comments on items that are not on the agenda. You'll get 3 minutes for your public comment. And then if required, we will assign any action items from public comment to our staff. So does anybody have any public comments for items that are not currently listed on our agenda? Okay. I don't see anyone. Okay, so we're moving on. New business. Action item number 1, operational and administrative updates from the Lake County Sheriff's Office, presented to us today by Sheriff Speckman. So Sheriff Speckman, I'll hand it over to you.
A report on the review to each of you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right. Well, what I'm going to cover today is just basically since May 9th, my appointment. It's largely been a balancing act. You know, I'll just use a quick story as a reference here. Just the other night last week, heading to a meeting out in Twin Lakes, just the world started to unfold right in that area. I needed to be present for it just because of staffing level. There was an accident, search and rescue had just finished a mission. More search and rescue missions came about, one that also required additional law enforcement. So hopes to go in the meeting, hear from the southern part of the county kind of flipped upside down, and I diverted my attention to help out with that. So as we know, there was a vacancy in the role of sheriff. Happened back in late March, and then I was appointed May 9th. So this vacancy has led the county leadership to take steps to fill that void. And ultimately, the decision was to appoint me. County leadership continues to be a resource for the sheriff's office, which we're grateful for. The following report is an update on progress. There were 74 key items identified as a priority. Due to the low staffing level, this again has been a balancing act to keep the public safe, work towards mending relationships, and also completing the necessary tasks to keep the sheriff's office, or to get the sheriff's office back on track. So the purpose of the sheriff is to provide a wide variety of public safety services for our county. These requirements are set forth by Colorado revised statutes. There are too many responsibilities for one person, and for this reason, the office of the sheriff is utilized. I have taken these responsibilities to heart, and I have focused on our core values to give direction to our employees on how they should serve the public. For these reasons, I have focused on team building, employee wellness, and that gives the direction and mentorship are providing to change the mentality of service for our response. This is to get away from the thoughts that we don't have the staffing to help our community. Employee wellness has taken the front-running position since our staff is our greatest asset. In turn, morale has improved, motivation has increased. Now, we not only want to keep this optimistic attitude going, but also turn these positive changes into tangible items that can be found through proper guidance and discipline of action. Often emergency calls and emergency situations have taken away from office improvement tasks. Yet we are pleased to inform the Board of Commissioners and the public that out of the 74 action items, we have completed 33 of them. 32 are in progress, and 9 have only been a thought to this point. The main reason why those 9 haven't been fully addressed is due to their far-reaching goal characteristics. Those longer-term goals are extremely important to us. However, they just haven't been the highest of priorities to this point. So some notable items that have come out of that list that we've completed is we've established a field training program. The Lake County Sheriff's Office had no certified field training officers. Under Sheriff Caleb Kramer attended the County Sheriffs of Colorado field training class prior to engaging as a field training officer. This was an important step towards providing a quality training for our future deputies. At the end of this month, we'll have 2 more senior deputies attending an FTO class so they too can become field training officers for our most recent academy graduates. Records in our office were organized and security was enhanced. Files were organized into 3 distinct categories: training records, personnel files, and internal investigation files. Files are now retained in locked cabinets behind locked doors, and access is granted only to the command staff. Training is important to us because consistent quality training is a crucial component to ensuring that proper actions are taken by staff members. There's been and will continue to be a strong effort to have well-trained employees. Since May, we have graduated 3 deputies from the Colorado Peace Officer Standards and Training Academy. Detentions officer recently earned a defensive tactics trainer certification, which has increased our defensive tactic instructor staff. And as we speak, we have a deputy attending a less than lethal class. This will give a certified instructor in multiple less than lethal options for our deputies to be trained in. Deputy completed new detective training, and also we'll have multiple deputies attending a 4-day homicide investigation class later this month. New graduates from the academy have attended additional DUI-related classes, which included a 2-day drug driving class, a 2-day advanced roadside impairment class, and also additional DUI search training. Later this month, all staff members will attend a 2-part in-person training that is focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, and implicit bias. This will kickstart us into a routine of DEI training along with bias. 3-day training class is provided in person for our all-in-one software company, eForce. The training was extended to the Leadville Police Department, who also uses this software. Our firearms instructor has modified training based off of current events. These types of training have increased. Our evidence department. An evidence auditing company was contracted to assist us with getting on track. Every item was accounted for, and the items were entered into our software company. 2 deputies were identified to take on the task of maintaining this progress until an evidence technician was brought on board. Over the past few months, the following improvements have been made. Our evidence technician was hired last month and has already made great improvements. We were trained by eForce's lead trainer, which taught us the proper way to enter evidence. Construction projects in the evidence room and the evidence booking area include center blocks around soft walls, a steel door, and a soon-to-be-installed electronic keypad with tracking abilities. These changes have made the booking process smoother with enhanced security, along with improving chain of custody. In our court security, our requirements have expanded to help provide building and personnel security for all county offices within the courthouse building. Contract was established with ACE Security and Safety Services and remains in place. ACE Security has offered a reliable service for our county. We are currently in the process of vetting another potential court security officer candidate to enhance our court security. Policies. A policy review process is underway. Completion of this current review process is a point where we reach a sturdy policy catalog that has an annual review process along with systems to update as necessary. Employees will be required to sign and acknowledge and understand for each policy and policy update. The system will eventually be put in place to track this along with making our policies available to the public. In the meantime, a staff member has been assigned to create new policies for immediate guidance in all divisions at the Sheriff's Office. Additional duties. There are countless tasks outside our primary duties that we do not have full-time employees to manage. Staff members have stepped up to help in jobs that need to be completed. Managing our fleet, records, training, equipment, supplies, budget, communication with the public, to name a few, have been roles taken on by our already extended staff. The drive to get the job done is high within the Sheriff's Office. Often staff members extend a helpful hand to the public, to the people of Lake County who are experiencing hard times by buying them groceries or a night in the hotel room. Steps are being taken to give these deputies vouchers to take care of that type of stuff. Go over some staffing levels here. Currently in our command section, there's 2. Through our administration section, we have 3 employees. Patrols, 7. Our detentions officers, we have 3. We have 1 court security officer plus the contractor. 4 dispatchers, 2 part-time employees. We're currently working through 4 applications in our hiring pipeline right now. have some stats to look over, and I'll mention this to everybody that doesn't have a paper in front of them. This is from May 9th to October 3rd, so yesterday. In our communications department, the calls created was 3,713 with 10 sex offender registrations. And what those calls created were not just phone calls received, those were calls that dispatch felt the need to open a call on. In our detentions department, we had 80 inmates booked and 132 transported. We served 207 civils with 17 standbys. Search and rescue was called out 27 times. Calls for service for patrol was 2,221 with 65 arrests, 25 warrants. There were 39 crimes against property and 84 crimes against persons with 186 traffic stops. And we'll get this information out to everybody so everybody can see it at some point. But we go through and we break up the FBI definition of those different crimes, which is something required by the NIGRS reporting. And it breaks up into persons against crime, assault, there were 20, 0 homicides, 4 sex offenses, 26 domestic violence calls, and 34 harassments. 9 burglaries, 30 larcenies. I'd like to bring up some notable events that happened since May. So in May, we had a new deputy complete the prior FTO program. This brought us to the point where we can provide 24-hour coverage for the county and enhanced our ability to provide patrol services to the city of Leadville also. I was able to still offer some volunteer time. It was part of the Leadville Youth Mountain Bike Club, and I was still able to go out and join those guys, which, as you guys can see a photo of there. I'd like to also note any sort of our responses that came full circle that were important to us, especially when it came to working through the community. So there was a theft case in May that initially seemed to be a dead end, but yet we had a positive outcome through joint community efforts. There was a report from Ace Hardware that an item worth over $1,300 was stolen. A photo of the unknown suspect was disseminated to the public. The individual was spotted by a Lake County resident and reported the sighting to the sheriff's office. A deputy responded to the location of the sighting along with an officer from the police department. That day, the stolen good was recovered, and a confession was gained from the suspect, and eventually charges were issued to that suspect. In June, we were able to take part in a fun and safe graduation for the Lake County High School seniors. We had a deputy graduate Highlands Ranch Law Enforcement Training Academy and had support from our commissioners during that graduation. Social media interaction was brought back to life, which was to enhance our communication with the public. Another case I'd like to bring up that happened in June was there were a string of burglaries that had been occurring over the past 2 months. Through a determination to solve this case, the Lake County Sheriff's Office deputies were able to identify and locate the suspect. The items from the burglary were found and recovered, and the suspect was placed in custody, ending that string of criminal activity. In July, we had staff members that were excited and honored to be part of the 4th of July parade. Also worked closely with the administrative staff to fine-tune our hiring process, and new applicants are now being placed through a streamlined procedure. And to address and improve our mental health response, we began routine meetings with Solvista Health. And these trainings and meetings are still taking place, and we've had numerous deputies attend those different trainings. In August, we had 2 more deputies graduate the Colorado Law Enforcement Training Academy program, earning their post-certification. We provided security assistance for Leadville Police Department during the long-awaited return of boom days. We provided additional resources to ensure successful operation of the Leadville Race Series. Our own Lake County Search and Rescue ran the medical and aid stations for all the races, which was a huge success. Our largest national night out event in years, which is where multiple agencies participate and engage with the community, and we had a large turnout from the community that night. The event was organized by staff members with the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Food and drinks were sponsored by Taco Bell, and a raffle was hosted to raise money for the advocates of Lake County. Excuse me. In September, the Lake County Sheriff's Office Victim Advocate won Rookie of the Year for Lake County. Our administrative staff and the county work together to implement the new and improved budgeting system. 2 senior deputies volunteered to take additional duties related to the supervisory tasks while a promotion system is being created. Another call I'd like to bring up that occurred in September is the Lake County Sheriff's Office received numerous calls from concerned citizens about the safety for themselves and others when a dangerous resident in Lake County was released from jail on a bond. Further investigation revealed multiple unreported violent charges. An arrest warrant was written and approved by the DA and the judge. The individual was contacted and apprehended without incident. This person is now back in custody waiting the next court hearing. There are other notable events and positive momentum will continue. There's also issues that still need to be addressed and processes to improve on. Our dedication is to the people of Lake County. We will be moving towards progression and the law enforcement adaptation that is necessary for our ever-changing world. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Do any of my fellow board members have any questions for Sheriff Steckman about his report or anything contained in the report?
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
go
At
ahead.
first, I just want to say thanks. I mean, one thing that really stuck out is that like that 74 action items. So I mean, I just really appreciate, and I think we all do. Like, I mean, that's just a huge amount of stuff that you took on, and in a pretty short number of months to be making such progress on it is just great to see and begin to bring some stability there. So thank you for that. I had a question on the evidence technician. I know before you came on, we were having some issues with sort of coordination with the district attorney's office. How would you describe that sort of relationship? Are we kind of caught up with them, and how is that, especially that sort of handling of evidence between your office and their office?
Yeah, huge improvements on those steps. We have a very proactive evidence technicians that's taking steps to recover anything from like when he started on.
Yep.
Issues that we'll continue to have are from that point before.
Mhm.
Those are things that we'll just have to continue to work through.
Yeah.
But however, being able to identify those items that were in the evidence room, being able to track them, barcode them, have them in our system, those are massive steps.
Great. And then on staffing levels, really appreciate the breakdown there. I remember one sort of question that the previous sheriff was working on is like, what, in terms of like recruitment strategy, whether it's better to go after like people already living here who can be trained, or to sort of recruit external to the county. And I'm wondering sort of how, like, as you know, you said you have 4 applicants in the hiring pipeline. Are you, what's the reality based on your few months? Are we mostly hiring local folks and training them up, or?
They are, and
Yeah.
those are people that live in Lake County. I think from a strategy standpoint, I do, appreciate the thought of trying to hire within Lake County, especially starting from our youth, and that's something that I want to make a presence in our school system for. So kids look up to law enforcement, and if that's a future that they see, then that's something that they can pursue because they have positive interactions. But when it comes to the here and now, I'm willing to look at anybody who's an applicant at this point.
Yeah.
And when it comes to further recruitment efforts, we're engaging in with somebody who's going to build us a website that can be attractive for people looking to see if there's employment opportunities and working with the county to get that streamlined also.
Yeah. And then related to that, like just looking at the staffing levels, I'm assuming retention's gotten a lot better given the numbers that are still here. But I don't know if you have any sort of comments or thoughts about how retention's feeling to you.
Yeah, retention's feeling pretty well. We did lose one to Summit County recently. That relationship is perfectly fine. If anything, it's been helpful to us where he's bringing us back some good information on how things are done elsewhere, so that relationship wasn't burnt down just because he left. Respect him for his decision. And but other than that, I feel like retention is going to be strong. We're trying to push hope in a career at Lake County Sheriff's Office. And with that goal in mind, we're taking those appropriate steps, which just kind of solve the retention issue.
That was all I had.
Okay. Sarah,
Awesome.
Commissioner Mudge, you have
Sure,
any?
yeah, no, I echo Commissioner Fiedler's gratitude and thank you for continuing to work with our partners and staff and all of those towards a common goal. Thank you very much. I wonder about, I love, and I think like as we all try to change that culture and encourage the culture of like support and training and mental health, I just am really glad that you have prioritized that for your staff in particular. I am curious about, as we all kind of come in and just try to catch up, to hit the basics, as you mentioned earlier in the report. You know, when there are questions that might come to us, I wonder what our best response is on your behalf to communicate to the public, when questions are asked about patrolling and a presence and whatnot. I think we or I can do a better job of relaying those to you, know how to best relay those to you, and then you know, what could our response be to folks concerned about speeding and OHV vehicles and dangerous ridership and yeah, just having a presence.
Okay,
in
yeah, I
other
think
places.
that's, you know, it's an honest concern, especially it's coming from our community and there's a response necessary. If we're able to receive that information, just anytime you're getting it, maybe this is something that I look into, some sort of system to receive those complaints, so we can start tracking them and then identifying problem areas. So the more we hear it, the more we're able to collect that information and compile our response to it. You know, as for a response to the public, I don't want this to sound like an excuse, but we're working towards that, having patrol deputies that are just for that. So if we can start taking a lot of these other tasks that they've taken on away from them as we hire new employees, or that workload can be spread out a little bit, we'll have a greater presence in the community when it comes to just the routine patrolling side of things. But yeah, if we can collect that information in the meantime until we establish a good system to really log it all, that'd be great.
I think, and then policies, just for clarification, again, I think that it seems that the office has worked really well with Tim and HR. Policies that you're referring to, I imagine, are more specific to other statutory requirements upcoming and or existing, kind of like standards of standard operating procedures. Is that
Correct. Yeah.
okay?
So we are working with a company called Lexipol that produces policies, and they keep things up to date with statute and any sort of legislation change. But then there's also things that are specific to Lake County, you know, especially dealing with the jail situation that we're in now. And there's just kind of a lot of just verbal instructions to go about doing this, or this. So yes, creating standard operating procedures and then policies that align with those is what we're working on immediately right now.
Great, thank you.
Cool. I think just to continue to be grateful for receiving that feedback of those 74 items that needed to be looked at pretty immediately and making sure that they were a priority. I think I really appreciate the seriousness and the progress that you've made on that. I think it's really incredible. Just a quick question. Are you fully staffed right now, or do you have any vacant positions?
We're not fully staffed, no. So
Okay.
we have vacant positions, and just working on our entire structure is something that's underway also.
Okay,
And I'm basing that response off of what was given to me
yeah,
with the last administration.
okay. So would you be looking to make any staffing changes in your budget? I mean, we haven't heard it yet, but.
I'll give you a sneak peek, yes.
Okay, thanks. And then just a quick question about your DEI and bias training that will get kicked off this month.
Yes,
Okay.
it'll be a two-part training. It was
Okay.
by their recommendation through the company Catalyst that does this type of training specifically.
Okay,
They encouraged us to it was the best approach by their opinion, and we said, yes, that's what worked for us.
okay, cool. I'm really glad to see that you're taking that training and incorporating that with all of your staff and the mental health resources that you've brought in for your staff. I think that's very important. So I don't have any further questions. Just thank you for your transparency with this reporting and for being open with us about what's happening in your department. We really appreciate it.
And I appreciate the team effort from everybody in the county that's been very helpful. I definitely couldn't do this by myself or just with us and within the sheriff's office. So I'm grateful for everybody in this room.
Thank you. We appreciate it. All right. Thank you very much, Sheriff. Have a great day. You can stay if you want to. We've got a lot going on.
I love you guys, but we'll.
Okay.
Chris.
Thank you. Bye, Pat.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. Update and status on Community Justice Center.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can start, and I think I saw Colleen Canada, our owner's
Sure.
rep and project manager. You can fill in with other stuff. So just run through, and we've talked about this, but I mean the big news is really sort of surprising cost overruns. We got our first pricing back on our schematic design stage, and it was $15 million over budget. So to review, put that in context, the original total budget that we had been working on was 45 million, of which 33 million was hard costs. So we were 15 million over on that 33 million hard cost, so almost a 50% higher set of bids that came in. And just to say, so these are based on actual, not full bids, I would say, but estimates from, you know, all the subcontractors on mechanical, electrical, you know, site prep, you know, the whole set. So, you know, pretty solid estimates. I'll say just quickly, I think there's a range of reasons, and we don't know them all, but a lot of those cost increases above what was budgeted were on the sort of mechanical side, so like mechanical, electrical, plumbing. It seems like there's a mix of actual sort of inflation, price escalation on equipment and materials themselves that are just getting passed through by subs, but also subs are beginning to cover themselves pretty significantly on, you know, for higher prices and disrupt, you know, the difficulty of both labor and their own materials costs. So that we're thinking there's sort of like an implicit amount of sort of cost escalation and contingency built into those bids that we're getting. And then I think the other is that despite the sort of economic uncertainty nationwide, there are a lot of construction projects still proceeding in Colorado and in the high country. So subs don't need to, they don't need to hustle for every single project. You know, and we're a hard project up at 10,000 feet. So anyway, faced with that 15 million overrun, the path that we're on right now is through a mix of reduced scope of what's in the building, and, you know, some other cost savings, you know, in smaller places of the building, save about half of that, but we are still looking at a $7 to $9 million overrun over that $40 initial budget that we had been working on. So just a little bit over 50 million, 52 million at this point. And that budget still includes a lot of price escalation and owner contingency in it. So, you know, there is still room to not have to spend all that. We have not released by a long shot all of that escalation and contingency in there. And there's a lot of work to do on trying to find cost savings by continuing to push on subs and other design elements of the building. So on the de-scoping, though, the big changes are that we have had to lose what was on the second floor above the court. So the district attorney and probation offices, and if people actually want to look on the wall, that lower one right there.
The purple and green on the bottom.
Yeah, was where DA and probation was. So that's probably about a 3 million savings of the 7 to 8 that we saved. We also did a slight reduction in the jail cell count. The jail detention facility is by far and away the most expensive per square foot. So a slight reduction in cell count that was discussed with both city police and the sheriff's office yielded pretty significant savings, again, of sort of 2 to 3 million. And then, you know, in addition to DA probation and the reduced cell count, just a number of little things like no covered parking, some cost savings away. So that's where we stand on budget. I might take a breath and see if Colleen wants to add anything on budget before going into like schedule and other things, or see if there are questions. I actually maybe ask one thing. So the DA, district attorney's office, is aware of this, and we've had that hard conversation. We will continue to make sure that the site plan has space for future district attorney's office space on there, and same for probation. Probation will actually be what's called an ad alternate, so there'll actually be space for them designed in the design of the building. So if we free up money and magic happens, we can still build that. It'll be designed.
Okay. Colleen, do you have anything to add before?
I have no questions.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Colleen.
Sure. I can just talk a little bit about schematic design. In general, schematic design is where we try to fit everything in that everybody wants. In this case, we did know that prices were rapidly escalating, so the county made the decision to reduce the square footage of the building by about 6,000 square feet before we even got through the end of schematic design, knowing that we were going to have some costs pretty higher. I think that the master planning had planned on costs around $500 to $600 a square foot. We budgeted much higher. We budgeted in the high 600s for construction, and those costs came back in the high 900s per square foot. And that was where I think we were all a little surprised, as Commissioner Fiedler discussed. Those mechanical, electrical, plumbing numbers were really driving a lot of that cost, with just workforce availability, with the cost of materials, with being able to get materials and generators and things like that. It really drove that cost. FCI then went back. They got some more sub input from various other mechanical contractors, and that number came down slightly, but we still knew we needed to reduce program size again, even though the county had already made that proactive move ahead of time. So we would be in a much bigger budget deficit, I would say, or issue, if we had proceeded with the 56,000 square foot building. It went down to 50,000 square feet, and now I think we're closer to 41 to 42,000 square feet as we're moving forward into design development with the design team. So just wanted to remind everybody of that, and where we were and what we were doing to try to mitigate it before we got this estimate. And the estimate was, I think, a bit of a surprise, even for the contractor when they were pricing it. So.
Okay. We go on to schedule and couple
Sid,
other.
do you have any questions on budget? before
No, I don't.
Tim, do you have anything with budget before we move on? No? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, besides the general anxiety.
Yeah.
So with
Can I just really quickly, Colleen, or Jeff, what does the contingency look like in the budget currently?
Percentage.
Yeah, the percentage of the overall cost.
I don't have that in front of me right now, but I can get that to you, Commissioner.
Okay.
Let me
That would,
get back to you.
go ahead.
looking at that budget, we had almost $5 million of contingency
Okay.
in that original $45 million budget.
Okay.
So, but Pauline, I have to say, I don't know how much of that we might already have released. So we'll get back to
Yeah,
that.
Colleen, you can send that to us. That'd be fine. Okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So maybe just quickly on schedule, I mean, the weeks it took to sort of address that cost, budget overage, were, potentially a month behind schedule. We were looking at construction in the spring. I think in a way, the original schedule was going to be weather dependent anyway.
Right.
So I think that month delay is not a huge problem, and might not have happened. We might have been starting at this new schedule anyway if it was a big winter, just in terms of getting the site clear. So let's see, what else? We're beginning to have pre-application discussions with the city because this is permitted in the city boundary. And a couple things emerging from there. If you look at that top right map, those green areas are retention ponds, and right above that, there's parking, like between the stormwater retention ponds and the actual building. The city has requested that we try to move that parking away from the front of the building. I think in their words, we want to not look like a Walmart, and which is fair.
Yeah.
And I think we all share. So the design team is working on pulling that front parking around to the sides, especially on the Monroe south side, and making that front area be more of a sort of community park landscaped area, kind of similar to the area in front of our current courthouse. And along with that, we're exploring returning to the original alignment of Monroe with that kink in it, a little chicane. And that would allow space for parking to come up on the side. Still doing research on this, but it appears that that alignment with the bend in it is actually what is legally recognized by the city, and that the straight alignment was never properly approved or recorded. But that is being figured out. But just heads up, that may be sort of, and that's the big change from the city side. And then maybe just quickly on grants, we continue to hustle for grant funding and other sources of revenue. We did submit a $2.25 million application to the state underfunded courts program.
Yeah, I'm working with Katie to present that in
Oh,
December.
that's right. Thank you. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, and I think we have a good shot at getting all or a good chunk of that amount. It's been well thought through, and we understand the criteria for that program. So we'll continue to chip away at the total budget with the grants that we can find.
Cool.
I think that was it for me. Colleen, I don't know if you want to add anything else. One thing I realized that was on your report that we did get the geotech report back, and I don't know if there was anything you wanted to mention on the findings from that.
Yeah, I think in general, the soils were better than we thought they would be. So from a cost standpoint, we got that information back. The original schematic design estimate had assumed that the soils were bad based on some initial geotech report we had, or worse. There was also some concern about some geophysical lateral mine shafts potentially. And the YA report, it's still in draft format, but it came back. We were able to reduce costs because the soils from the more in-depth testing did not come back as bad as the initial report for over excavation. So yeah, that was a positive thing about the site.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. I don't have anything. Do you have anything? No. I did review the application with the underfunded, and it was very, very well put together. So I'm looking forward to that presentation in December. Okay. Anything else, Tim? No? Thanks for being with us, Colleen. We appreciate it. Okay. Moving on to number 3, update on Lake County landfill operations policies and fees. Michael Irwin is with us today. Michael, if you would like to join us and talk about what's happening at the landfill.
So I did not know I was on the agenda today. If y'all have questions to ask me, that'd be great, but I'll let you know what's going on right now. We do have possibly 2 people in the process of getting hired. I think 1 started today. That would bring us up to 5 people again out of 6 working at the landfill. Neither of the 2 people are truck drivers, so they can't go and haul the stuff from the roll-offs or drop-off site. Until we possibly get them trained in doing that. But we do have, people that want to go work out there, so that's a good thing. Our foreman out there had to take a couple weeks off for some personal stuff, so currently right now, I've only got 2 active people that know how to run the landfill out there. Hopefully, things are moving forward and we'll get people out there and trained and maybe can expand the hours again to include maybe Monday. Right now, we are only open Tuesday through Saturday and a half day on Saturday. Just because we have to meet state laws and we have to have the landfill covered when we're not accepting trash or don't have people there to cover the landfill when people do go in and deposit trash there. We're not open to anybody. I know I've seen or heard the comment that special people get in there and get to dump, and including the city, that is not happening. We used to do it for commercial people, commercial businesses, and that's why we were closed on Wednesday to the public, but open to commercial people. And we did have to have staff on site and working on Wednesdays and Thursdays. But without the staff, we had to just cut it down to 2 days, Sunday and Monday. And hopefully when we get fully staffed and get some CDL drivers out there again, we will be able to open on Monday so commercial people can expand their operations again. We're still working on fees. You guys did approve 3% beginning of January, but I don't think with the cost of living right now that that's enough. So we're working on where we can go with that.
Okay.
Any questions or
Questions? Sarah, Jeff?
I don't have any questions. That cover everything that you wanted to publicly
does.
announce.
Sorry, Michael. But thank you for being able to join this morning. But that was everything that needed to be touched on or the board needed to be updated on.
okay?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Michael. I think there's I just want to say thank you for being able to manage that and doing the best that you can with the short level of staffing that you have. I understand that you have to cover the trash regardless, and cover the face regardless, and compact it regardless of if one person dumps trash up there or all of your commercial haulers dump trash up there to comply with CDPHE. And I understand that you're doing the best that you can, and it is appreciated. So we see it and we recognize it, and we're really thankful for you trying to piece that together as best as you can. And I think just showing some compassion for the short staffing that we have. We're not short-staffed at just the landfill. Public Works is short-staffed. So their drivers can't fill in at the landfill because then it takes away from paving operations. So it's kind of a catch-22, I guess, if you will. But I just hope you know that we appreciate you, Michael, and we know you guys are doing the best that you can, and we appreciate the staff that you've got up there.
All right, thank you.
Anything else?
No?
No?
Thanks, Michael.
Sure. Thanks, Michael. Number 4. Land Development Code Amendment, Special Event Facility Resolution Revision Review. Sorry. I was like, maybe I'm not reading that right. Okay, Anne, you can pull a chair up if you'd like to,
Okay.
or whatever you're
think
most
I'm
comfortable
okay.
with. Okay, all right, that's fine.
So this is, I provided two different exhibits, to kind of allow some space for the board to kind of consider. This is adding a use to the use table, of a special event facility. It would be added conditionally with a series of use-specific standards. We've had work sessions in regards to this legislative change, both June 10th and the 27th. Then based on bringing it to the board in September, I think there was a desire for staff to go back and just look at some different possibilities about some density concerns in light of potential negative impacts to adjacent properties. And so that's the two different, there's an exhibit with a resolution and then a different exhibit. And largely the difference between the two is the density. One is allowing a maximum density of 10 people per acre, a minimum of 10 acres, and a maximum density of 10 people per acre. The other one is a minimum acreage of 10 acres, but allowing 20 people per acre. So it's a significant reduction, but wanted to bring it forth in both options so that you had some choices today. Also, added some language to help memorialize for future administration of this code. There was really wanted to incorporate some thoughtfulness into allow the density question specific to each unique application should consider the underlying zone district and adjacent uses. And I think that was a concern too, that really wanted to make sure the code really articulated to any future administration what the desire of this use would be. And so a sentence was added to the first standard that just says, in order to consider the maximum allowable density, careful consideration will be given to the degree of impact to the underlying zone district and neighboring uses. Just very specific to the concern at hand. And so hoping to just add some direction in interpretation of the code for future use. So I do have a resolution for the board if you would like me to read it into the record, and then you can discuss.
Sure.
So did you have a resolution number, the next available resolution?
I have 22 for something, so I don't know if 23 unless it's already been used.
I don't think so.
The temporary moratorium for the short-term rentals was 22, so yours would probably be 23 then.
23.
23.
Was it 22? I remember the version it was 22. Which one, the 22, I think, you said was the moratorium?
The short-term rental
Short-term
moratorium.
yeah.
Okay, so 23.
Okay, so we're gonna go with that this is resolution 2223, a resolution amending the Lake County Land Development Code to add special event facility as a conditional use under table 5.1, commercial, recreational, and entertainment outdoors. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Lake, State of Colorado Board is vested with administering the affairs of Lake County, Colorado pursuant to state statutes. And whereas pursuant to section 3.8.2A of the Lake County Land Development Code, amendments to the various provisions of the code may be proposed by a private individual or organization, community development staff, the Planning Commission, or by the Board of County Commissioners. And whereas pursuant to CRS 2921.021, the Colorado General Assembly finds and declares that in order to provide for planned and orderly development within Colorado, a balancing of basic human needs of a changing population with legitimate environmental concerns, the policy of this state is to clarify and provide broad authority to local governments to plan for and regulate the use of land within their respective jurisdictions. And whereas pursuant to CRS 30.28.113, the Board of County Commissioners, upon consideration by the Planning Commission, may regulate the zoning map and text after public hearing thereon in those portions of the county that lie outside of cities and towns. And whereas pursuant to CRS 30.28.111.1, the legislature has determined that local county governments may make a zoning plan for zoning all or any part of the unincorporated territory within such county. And whereas the Lake County Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners held joint work sessions on Land Use File 2223 on the 10th and 27th day of June of 2022. And whereas the Lake County Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners held a joint public hearing on Land Use File 22-23 the 29th day of August of 2022. And whereas pursuant to section 3.8 of the Land Development Code, the Planning Commission shall make a recommendation based upon the approval criteria of section 3.8.9 of the Land Development Code. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners has considered the recommendation of the Community Development and Planning Department and the Planning Commission, and whereas the Board of County Commissioners finds that the foregoing amendments to the Lake County Land Development Code are consistent with the goals, objectives, policies, and other provisions of the Lake County Comprehensive Plan and the Land Development Code are necessary because of changing social values, new planning concepts, or other social or economic conditions, and will promote the public and environment health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Lake County. And now therefore be it resolved that Section 1, the resolution is consistent with the goals, objectives, policies, and other provisions of the Lake County Comprehensive Plan and the Land Development Code. Section 2, this resolution is necessary because of changing social values, new planning concepts, and other social and economic conditions. Section 3, this resolution is found to promote public health, safety, and general welfare. Section 4, the Lake County Land Development Code shall be amended to add the use appropriately to Table 5, permitted, conditional, and prohibited uses by zone district. Add 5.2.28 special event facility use specific standards, and add Chapter 9.2 definitions, special event facility and special event. Thereof, all sections shall be amended pursuant to the attached Exhibit A. And Section 5, this resolution shall become effective upon its adoption, and the Land Development Code shall be amended accordingly and immediately. And so the statement of motion, I think I had read into the record previously, so it's not included with this, but there are the 2 exhibits. And the only difference being the density of either 10 people per acre or 20 people per acre. I wanted to give you all options today with the expanded message within to establish the intent of density.
Questions, Sarah and Jeff?
I do actually, in the Exhibit A, the table, is it meant to, so you have for this addition, entertainment event, and you have the indoor facilities and outdoor facilities, and they are not, one is conditioned under like ag forestry there. You can conditionally approve an outdoor facility event, but there are no indoor facilities that could be.
This is just, no, there is, I think there is a listing, I didn't bring a code up. But there are, it's just under recreational and entertainment outdoor. I think this would, it includes outdoor. I don't think it's exclusive of outdoor, but it is under the recreation and entertainment. And
Okay, sorry, I was reading, yeah.
yeah, those are just the use category, sub-use categories and then this specific use type. But I do think that it would cover both indoor and outdoor operations, just like group camps and vacation lodges, RV parks and campgrounds, private resorts and rest ranches. But an outdoor pavilion, like it had, it would use as well.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
I don't either.
Yeah,
Jeff, you'd like?
nope, I don't.
The only thing we need to provide direction on for Anne is the density.
Yeah.
Correct?
Right, whichever way you want to go, I'll take out, I'll insert the correct exhibit, and then it'll be ready for your motion.
Sure. I know that I had concerns with the density a couple meetings ago, but I have met with Anne and talked through the process and the density. And I feel okay with the 20 people per acre.
Thanks for saying, yeah, and I appreciate the concerns you had raised, and I thought about that a lot too, and I think I'm also definitely comfortable with a higher density, given all the other criteria that still have to be met.
Yeah. Yeah, so after talking through that with Anne at length, multiple times, I feel much more comfortable and confident. Commissioner Much, do you have?
No.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
Here's the resolution then with the 20, and just the staff report to get recorded with the resolution, so there's a basis for the
Okay.
names.
Okay. All right, so Anne read this into the record, so I will entertain a motion for resolution 22-23.
I'll move to approve resolution 22-23, a resolution amending the Lake County Land Development Code to add special event facility as a conditional use under table 5.1, commercial, recreational, and entertainment outdoor.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Nothing for me.
Nothing for me.
Yeah, thanks, Anne. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Cindy, do you want to just attach the staff report to that and then we can sign it after? Okay, okay. Wonderful, thank you so much. Okay.
Thanks, Anne.
Okay, Anne, don't go anywhere. File number 22-22, Arkansas Valley Slag Project. So Anne.
Yes, I have a statement of motion with a recommendation from the planning commission to present to you based on the public hearing that was held September 19th for the Arkansas Valley Slag Project. The following statement of motion is being made for file number 22-22. At its September 19th, 2022 joint public hearing, Lake County Planning Commission member Jamie Cipher made the following motion. The motion was seconded by Bryce Ehrlich and was approved by roll call vote with 5 members in favor and 0 in opposition. They move that the Planning Commission recommend conditional approval to the Board of County Commissioners of file 2222, a conditional use permit application for extractive mining of slag as aggregate at the southwest quarter section 27, Township 9 South, Range 80 West, and northwest quarter section of 34, Township 9 South, Range 80 West of the 6th prime meridian, adjacent to north and east of the Leadville Sanitation Facility on Highway 24, 1.5 miles west of Leadville on 56 of a total of 92 acres. Pursuant to the standards of section 5.2.5, extractive operations including mining. Further finding that the approval criteria pursuant to the Lake County Land Development Code, section 3.6.1F, have been met as evidenced in the staff report dated September 19th, 2022 for file 22-22. The recommended conditions for approval are: 1, prior to the start of operations, a fully signed and issued CDOT access permit is submitted. 2, a copy of CJK's fine slag buyer purchase agreement document be submitted for the file. Number 3, a copy of the UMC's handbook be submitted for the file. Number 4, a copy of the location survey and subsequent engineer's report concerning the structure agreement with Leadville Sanitation be submitted for the file when it's completed. Number 5, it is completed and evidence all outstanding items have been satisfied. Number 5, a copy of the structure agreement, those got mixed up in there. Okay, so number 6, prior to the start of operations, a final and completed copy of the DRMS 112C permit be submitted. Number 8, the proposal projects the haul route will be split approximately 50-50 between trucks leaving the site in either a northern or southern direction. The applicant shall prepare a quarterly report identifying the amount of truck traffic traveling through the city of Leadville. Should it result in more than 70% of the total off-site haul traffic and/or any identified issues regarding negative impacts to the city, the county reserves the right to revisit the matter with the applicant to explore any possible mitigation. Number 9, the operation shall be limited pursuant to CDOT's access permit to 4 trucks either in or out of the site per hour with no more than 20 trips per day. CJK may request a temporary increase in the trips per day based on market demand. The BOCC will consider these requests during a regular meeting. Number 10, the operation will operate Monday through Saturday. During community events, when Harrison Avenue is closed, the city of Leadville portion of the truck route will be closed. Number 11, should Lake County determine a bypass route is a feasible approach to mitigating traffic congestion, the applicant and the county shall revisit the haul truck route in a collaborative manner. Number 12, prior to the start of operations, but not necessarily the start of site preparations, the applicant shall consult with the Department of Public Health and Environment Air Quality Control Division to determine which is necessary, an abatement, a permit, or an exemption, as the case may be, and submit a copy of the same to the county. Number 13, all representations made in the application and the hearing shall be considered as conditions of approval. Number 14, pursuant to section 5.2.5R, if the use has not operated or if no material has been extracted within 3 years of obtaining a conditional use permit, and a request for extension has not been received and approved by the Board of County Commissioners, the conditional use permit will expire. Extension request shall provide information concerning the factors and reasons for the request. The Board of County Commissioners will consider these factors and reasons, as well as the extent conditions have changed in the area, if any, in granting extension. And number 15, applicant shall provide air monitoring stations on the west side of the proposed operational parcel, providing monthly reports to Lake County. And so the things in here, first, I will bring you I have a repetitive item in here, so I will clean this up and bring it back before your board meeting's over, so you have the correct document. But the changes that you didn't hear during the deliberation were that within the staff report, the reporting was an annual reporting, but it came out through the public hearing that an increase in the frequency of those reports would be a benefit. And so the motion includes a quarterly report versus an annual report. Also, during the public hearing, the applicant suggested that a way to further make sure that we are considering air quality is that they would willingly install air monitoring stations on the west side of the parcel. And so that became a condition of approval. The Planning Commission was very grateful for that from the applicant, and so their motion contains that. And I think the only other change from what was in the staff report was, again, within the public hearing, the applicant said that they did not believe that they needed in excess of 20 trips a day. The staff report had 24. So the motion before you has 20 trips. So that was a reduction in the suggestions of the staff report. And included, I've also provided some discussion on, really the importance of the bypass road, as we will already have concerns about impacts of the traffic through the downtown area. So I have provided some further thoughts about the importance of looking at that bypass road in a collaborative method in the future. And so I provided the statement of motion as well as an official action record, and I'll have the staff report for reporting with the outcome today. And the applicant is here with us. Gary Knipp is here, and Gary slipped by.
Okay. I just want to remind those on the Zoom and those with us here in person that the public hearing portion of this application is closed, so we will not be hearing from the public today on this application because that portion is closed. So we can converse with staff regarding the approval of the application. So I will open it up first to Commissioner Fiedler or Commissioner Mudge, whoever wants to go first with any questions, comments, modifications.
Sure, thanks. Point of clarification, the trips is, that would be 20 trucks, and the 20 trips includes the trucks coming to the site and leaving the site, correct?
So trips would be actually 20 trips are round trips. So they're not, so in essence, it's 40.
Yes,
Because they're
Okay.
round trips.
there's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where we,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's where we.
that's what I
all
was
agree.
tracking, and I just want to make sure that, having that change from that 24 to 20. I'm still understanding. I don't have any big questions. I want to reiterate, just for the purpose of having the recorded meeting, there was a lot of public participation in our hearing, and there was a lot of concern that I thought the applicant did a great job, as well as staff, having covered working with DRMS, CDPHE, EPA, CDOT. You know, I think my perception and of the application and the operations is that the remediation of the land, that will be of great benefit to the county. And the applicant, I think, has presented us with every you know, effort to remediate, or not remediate, but mitigate, you know, those environmental concerns for neighbors. As I said in the hearing, also, we have, you know, very intimate professional relationships with all of these partners and agencies. So we certainly will keep that collaborative spirit and support going and have our eyes on the ground. That being said, I do have to ask and say that I feel very strongly that it is only a matter of time that the haul route through downtown Leadville will become a problem. The BOCC has included our alternative hauling route in one of our applications that we have been awarded through the transportation planning region for some planning dollars. We do have to come up with a match for that. And I know that Anne and Michael had talked to the applicant about the potential haul route. And my strong belief is that were it not for the lack of our infrastructure to support that kind of weight currently, I think we would be, you know, I would hope that one of these conditions would be to ask the applicant to use an alternative route outside the city. And for that reason, I would like to ask the applicant if there's any potential way for you to consider a voluntary fee of $1 per ton per load of the operations to be remitted to the county to contribute to that planning, engineering, and the development of that alternative route.
Yes, definitely, we can consider that. Another thing we can also consider is the reduced rate or contribution of our aggregate for that project. So we're definitely willing to consider contributing, whether by the ton or contributing some of our aggregate or both.
I think it would be a well point, not for this meeting, but I'll get you guys a super pay recipe that basically will hold up to regular asphalt by 15 times. It's amazing.
Super pave?
It's been in existence since 1930.
The aggregate is extreme, more so than what normally used.
Okay. So how, not necessarily diving in, having dove into this conversation before with staff, I guess I'm wondering how the board feels on, you know, keeping that an open-ended conversation or getting some commitment today. You know, do we table the decision on this based on further conversations with the applicant and come back for approval, or, you know, what would be the best path forward? I guess I'm asking the room.
So I think that it really depends on the applicants and what they would voluntarily like to have the board consider. That would, you know, that you know, kind of what your thoughts are.
Right. Again, my only reservation is, having not sold any of it yet, we don't know what the market value of it is. And so what percentage is $1 a ton of that is my only reservation. You know, honestly, if it's gonna be the difference between a positive vote, approval or not, then I can go ahead and approve it.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, per my calculations, if there were $1 a ton fee imposed and 20 trips, 15, presuming full capacity of the trucks, 15 tons a truck. I think that would result in $1,000 annually that I presume would be passed along to your customer as that fee.
Full capacity.
Full, yeah.
Yeah, 20 trips a day, 20 full trucks coming out of your site at $1 a ton, presuming 15 tons a truck, would be $300 a day times 52 weeks and 5 days of operation a week would be approximately $78,000.
Just
Okay.
one context, like so Commissioner Mudge mentioned the planning dollars that we already have. I mean, so just the planning of the route, you know, this route is one of 4 projects, and our match is, well, the 1/4 of our match is about $60K. So just sort of puts that in context of that annual amount. So, you know, the first year of operation might pay for a contribution, you know, towards the planning work. So I'm just sort of trying to gauge the reasonableness of what that annual amount is, and it sort of seems in line as much as we know at this point.
Your calculations are operating at full capacity, which we would absolutely love, but it's probably surprised if we're doing that. But I agree, I'll agree to the $1 a ton contribution.
I think that's very fair and demonstrates a really good partnership with the county for us to evaluate safer truck routes, because I mean, even if we think about the little impact that this may have on summertime traffic, it's still going to have a big impact if you're, you know, trying to cross the street on Harrison. So,
And
I do like
and Anne had brought up before that, you know, I think it would be advantageous, or our thoughts that it would be advantageous for you not to sit in that, I mean, that traffic was backed up well into Stringtown at times, standstill traffic,
Yeah.
so,
We've driven the route, and we're more than happy to use it. Once we're able to.
yeah, and right now that is not even an option. Really, we can't have that heavy a load on our alternate routes. So, thank you.
I think it'll increase organically, increase your efficiencies, just to not have to go through that.
Then what is the language? Maybe then we'll add that as a condition.
Yes, so I would just like make the motion with, make a motion based upon the motion with the additional condition voluntarily offered by the applicant.
Okay.
I
Call that voluntary.
I don't think that I have any additional questions right now. You know, in looking through the application, I think you've managed it very well, and managed the impacts very well, and I think that this presents a really great opportunity for us to start commercial industrial in some of those selected areas of our community, but also gives those residents that are next to the application an opportunity for remediation of the products down there, and beautification of that area. So I think it's pretty beneficial to all of us. So I appreciate the thoughtfulness.
I mean, I'll just echo that, yeah, I mean, I think, well, further, I appreciate the willingness to, you know, the applicant's part to, you know, really work on some of the community concerns. And yeah, what you said, I mean, I think to make that area, you know, potentially usable in a way it's not currently will be a big benefit. And yeah, if we can manage the truck traffic, then it'd be good.
Yeah. Anything else, Commissioner Marsh?
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to, are we approving file number or the resolution? What's, this resolution is 23? No, not
24.
23, 24.
this isn't a resolution, this
Oh,
is just,
sorry.
file 2222.
Okay.
So it's just, you're just, conditionally approving file number 2222. It's on the statement of motion with additional.
Okay, I will move to approve file number 2222 with the small, as read into the record by staff, with a small revision of just duplication, I think. As well as adding a condition voluntarily offered by the applicant to apply a $1 per ton fee to the operations to be remitted to the county, which is intended, would support the planning, engineering, and construction of an alternate haul route.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion amongst board members?
None for me?
None from me. All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
thank you so
thank
much.
you. Thank you, we appreciate it.
I'll run back to the right one.
Cool, thanks, Anne, we appreciate it a lot. Okay, we're skipping 6 and 7, because they're moving to the next meeting. Number 8 is an ARPA funding request for the amount of $40,620 to be divided over 3 years in the amount of $13,540 for Lake County wraparound, presented by County Manager Tim Bergman. So Tim, I'm gonna let you, if you wanna move up, you can.
I think Janine can help me where needed, but I think in December, when the city and county were initially going through ARPA requests from the community, one of these came from wraparound. The wraparound services is housed in the County Department of Human Services. So this is just the this is the formal request and hopefully a BOCC decision in favor for ARPA funding in the amount of $40,620 to be divided over 3 years to help expand the wraparound team. Anything I missed, Janine?
Nope, you got it. Thank you.
Sweet.
Cool. I just want to say thank you to Janine for being thoughtful about this request for ARPA funding. I think it's really beneficial to a lot of our community. And I look forward to maybe building some capacity in the wraparound program. So thank you. Anything from you guys?
No.
Sarah, Jeff?
Just apologize we didn't get this
Yeah.
formalized
Yeah.
sooner.
Sorry. Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll look for a motion.
I'll move to approve the allocation of ARPA funding to the Department of Human Services for the total amount of $40,620 to be divided over 3 years in the amount of $13,540 dedicated to the Lake County Wraparound Program.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No, thank you.
No.
None for me?
All right. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Moving into number 9, contractor selection and approval as a result of the RFP issued by the Department of Human Services for Language Access Policy Implementation and Interpreter Network Grant, presented by Janine. So Janine, if you want to talk us through the contractors that you had bid on this service and what service they'll be providing and your recommendation, I would appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes. So we have a grant that was funded by the Colorado Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing to work on a language access policy and development of a Spanish interpreter network over the next year ending in June. And we had we put out an RFP. We had 2 folks submit bids, and I believe we sent some of the scoring information to you all. We do have a recommendation on that. The recommendation is to work with Carry On Consulting LLC, and their proposal met all of the requirements and scored very highly on the matrix. I think when we did this before last year, the next step would be to present at the next meeting a contract with this vendor if there's no objections by the or any questions you all have.
Go ahead.
I didn't.
Okay, just one sec. Janine, can you give us the total cost for both of those bids that you received?
Sorry. Kristen, are you on? Kristen is familiar with this too. She was going to try to join, but she has another meeting she was getting into.
Nope, sorry, I don't think that she's on.
Okay, that's okay. This one, the bid we're recommending was $29,444. And the other bid was $179 less than that. So they were very similar in price. And that falls within the budgeted amount that we have in the grant.
Okay.
Thanks, Janine. And sorry, you said that this work would be done over the next year?
Yeah, it technically started July 1 in the state fiscal year. So our first steps, we're getting this RFP, but we've got the timeline set up to continue to work on this and then recruit interpreters from the community and then provide some training for them and certification if they don't have it, and then create a customized training program for Department of Human Services for our contract interpreters, and then sort of establish that training and support program for our contract interpreters in the community.
Great. And I keep asking this question, I think, and I don't know how appropriate it is, but as you're developing that, and I totally understand there's like training for medical interpretation and very specific so that you know the language and the activities and the nuances of the work that you are doing. But Janine, is it incorporated into your line of thinking and or with Tim that this, like building this network, could also benefit different departments in the county? Yes.
Yeah, the goal is to take this model and treat it as a pilot and then be able to replicate it throughout the county. And then there are quite a few other counties that and DHS offices that are interested in this model as well. And that's part of the reason they funded us, so that this could be replicated in different capacities. Yeah.
Great. That is really exciting. Okay. And I mean, I don't know if that's something you know, as you are building that cohort of folks, I think it's worth expressing that potential so that you are building like some serious employment for folks, and not just, a one-off here or there. I mean, do you have Chris is biting up.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I'm excited about the opportunity to replicate this other bit, because we are in desperate need of court interpreters here, and by the state pays $45 an hour for those services, and so that's pretty good employment for Lake County if we can get a cadre of folks here to become certified.
Yeah,
for that.
Awesome. Okay, I think the opportunities are
great.
limitless. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yes.
I don't have any questions. I'm just really glad that this is moving forward. So wonderful.
I had one question. Sorry for not being aware of this earlier. Is the grant funding for this, is that part of the federal earmark? So because that, I thought the plan for spending that the BJA grant had a line item or a couple line items for some language access and interpretation stuff. Okay, so,
So these, I see these as complementary. So this grant is through HICPUF, the Department of Healthcare
Okay.
Policy and Financing at the state. The BJA grant does require that language access is part of the job, so that's why it's required to be bilingual. There'll be translation materials, education, classes done in Spanish. But it's not, from my understanding, the BJA job is not like you will have a court interpreter in
Right.
Spanish.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah, so that I see them as complementary.
Great.
Janine or Chris, have other things to add?
Yeah. And part of what we're doing in our project is developing this language access policy, which Chris has also been reviewing with us. So that could be something that could also be relevant for the Justice Center. And for further grant opportunities as well.
Excellent.
great, yeah.
Okay. All right, so per DHS's recommendation, I'll move to direct staff to execute an agreement or a contract with Carry On Consulting LLC for the purpose of our language access policy implementation and interpreter network grant and program development. Should I put not to exceed that bid? Not to exceed the $29,444?
Sure.
Is that important?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
No, not for me, thank you.
No? Awesome. Thanks, Janine, for putting this together.
Yeah, thank
So no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Janine, would you please send me a copy of Carry-On's bid so that I can create the professional services agreement for that?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Janine. Okay. Number 10, liquor license renewal for Fast Stop 1161 Incorporated for a fermented malt beverage off-premises license. Cindy. Oh, thank you. Let's see. This is for Fast Stop on Mountain View Drive. Okay. I don't have any questions. It looks like everything is paid.
No concerns from your office?
No concern.
All righty,
Okay.
thank you. I'll move to approve the liquor license renewal for Fast Stop 1161 Incorporated for a fermented malt beverage off-premise license.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
None for me.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, number 11 is the liquor license renewal for CNT LLC for Leadville Liquors for a liquor store license.
There you go.
That one's separate, yeah.
Any other comments or concerns on that one?
No,
Cindy?
not on this
All
one either.
right, okay.
Okay,
I'll move to approve the liquor license renewal for CNT LLC for Leadville Liquors for a liquor store license.
Second.
okay, any further discussion?
No, thank you very much.
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Minutes, I have not looked at minutes.
I'm really sorry, I didn't either.
I'm sorry,
I didn't
Cindy.
Our LCCHP, actually, you should probably just go to the LCCHP group. Right?
I don't know.
I think so.
Okay, so can
Um,
we punt minutes to our next meeting? And we will look at them, I promise. That's okay. Claire, fill us in our calendar. Okay,
So I'll approve bills and payroll for the pay period, or move to approve bills and payroll for the pay period ending on September 23rd, 2022.
I'll second.
any further discussion?
No, thank you so much.
All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you all so much. With that, well, I don't think we have anybody else on the Zoom. So we'll go ahead and adjourn this afternoon at 12:34 p.m. Thank you so much.